everyone. I'm Kimberly Cass from Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in English. And I'm the discussant for today. I will continue discussing about bioethics and also the pro-life and pro-choice. So let's start. Bioethics explores some of the most difficult and fascinating moral challenges we face in health, medicine, and emerging technologies. Bioethics is a study of moral and social responses to issues raised by advances in biology and medicine. There are a number of frameworks you can use to analyze an ethical issue. So let's proceed in crimes against life. Sterilization. Sterilization is a type of contraceptive method. It is a surgical operation which renders a man or a woman incapable of transmitting life. Sterilization is carried out by vasectomy for the male and by tubular ligation for the female. Moralists give the following distinction. First is therapeutic sterilization. It is intended to preserve the well-being of the whole body and it's therefore permissible. Eugenic sterilization is intended to prevent procreation in an otherwise healthy and normal person. This is contrary to natural law and is prohibited. First, sterilization of retardates or of poor people is discriminatory and violates the human rights of these persons. Enforced sterilization, according to Bernard Haring, is usually followed by anxiety, frustration, distress, and has a strong negative influence of the expression of one's sexuality to the intent that is may impair mental health. Punitive sterilization is standard as a punishment for certain criminals, as practiced in some countries. Such punishment is ineffective and useless, since sterilization does not extinguish sexual tendency and a sterilized rapist can still commit the same crime. Drug addiction. Drug addiction is the state of psychic or physical dependence, or DH, on a dangerous drugs arising in a person following the use of doing a periodic or continuous basis. Drug addiction is a habit which is acquired by indulging in the use of prohibited drugs. The use of addicted drugs is regulated by the state, for example, by the Dangerous Drugs Act on 1972 as amended by PD Nos. 44, 1675, 1683, 1708, and Batas Pambansa bilang 179. Some identified drugs as prohibited and their uses constitute are illegal and an immoral act. While drug addicts are regarded as victims, and drug pushers and manufacturers of prohibited drugs are criminals. Next is alcoholism. Alcoholism is the state of dependence on the stimulation of wine and liquor. In extreme cases, alcoholism has the same evil effect on health as drug addiction. Alcoholism saps a person's energy, dull his mind, and destroy his capacity through creative activity. Due to their erratic behavior and short span of attention, alcoholics are incapable of holding jobs as well as establishing a meaningful relationship with others. Drinking wine is not evil in itself. Intoxication, however, is self-degrading and unhealthy. The advice is for people to consume wine moderately. Next is abortion. Abortion is the intentional expulsion of a fetus which cannot survive by itself outside of the womb of the mother. Some countries favor abortion as a method of regulating population. The Philippines is one among those countries that punish abortion as a criminal act. Moralists distinguish between indirect and direct abortion. So let's proceed in indirect and therapeutic abortion, which is performed for the purpose of saving the life of the mother. This is morally permissible. The case does not imply that the mother's life is simply preferred over that of the child. The choice is between a life which can be saved and a life which cannot be saved. The moral dilemma is to let both die or to save that of the mother. The anencephalic fetus is cited as an example. Not only that the defected fetus can survive, it cannot fully develop into a self-sufficient human life. That is, it is justifiable to abort it rather than have endangered the life of the mother. It does not, however, belong to therapeutic medicine to abort a fetus because it is afflicted with some kind of genetic disease, or it possesses the risk of developing such defect or ailment. The fetus, not the mother, is the patient in this case, and killing the patient is no therapy whatsoever. What could be done, or should have been done, is so far as genetic disease is foreseeable, is to avoid conception after conception. The only moral remedy is for immediate treatment upon the birth of the child. So next is direct or selective abortion. Is the expulsion of the fetus by the willful wishes of the parents for purposes other than saving the life of the mother who is not endangered at all. This type of abortion is not justified for whatever reason. Wherever they regulate the size of the family, to eliminate an unwanted pregnancy or child, to regulate population, or to maintain one's social standing in the community. So now let's proceed in pro-life and pro-choice. The debate on the morality of abortion has two opposing camps. First is pro-life. Pro-life advocates adhere to the principle calling for the protection and preservation of human life in all its forms. Father P.J. Talty writes, first, life is present from the moment of conception. And secondly, the life will develop into a human being, unless it is crushed out of existence. In other words, there is already a human being there, in its first stage of development, like a tiny rosebud that will one day open into a beautiful bloom. Life is there from the first moment. It is not just a piece of tissue or a growth. It is a living thing, with a distinct life of its own. Anyone who destroys it, destroys the human being that is to be. A Christian writer of the 2nd century had already expressed this very clearly in these words. It makes little difference whether one destroys a life already born, or does away with it in its nascent stage. The one who is to become a man is already a man. Lastly is pro-choice. Pro-choice advocates maintain that the mother, being a human being and not merely a machine of procreation, has the right and the freedom to decide when to continue or terminate pregnancy. The state has not authority to prohibit abortion, since this belongs to the domain of the parents, especially to the woman, as a matter of human right. Gerald Winslow, Abortion and Morality, Health and Home, Volume 31, Number 2, since March to April 1990. That's all. I hope you learned something. Thank you.